advertising in this year's Super Bowl after last year's inaugural effort. Why?
Well, you know, it's actually a surprise for us as well that we're back. We did not plan or intend to do a 2-year run, but our results from the first year were so strong we couldn't ignore it. So we're back.
Talk a little bit about the effectiveness and sort of what you got from it.
We got some great positives from it that we didn't expect. I shouldn't say we didn't expect. We expected them, they just far surpassed what we expected. First of all, let me clarify for you that participating in the Super Bowl is a brand preference play because TV is a very diffuse medium. So we were not expecting more people to buy a home the day after seeing our advertisement in the Super Bowl. What we were hoping and planning to do, and we did in far greater measure than we anticipated, was we put the Century 21 brand front and center with consumers, and we found that it did indeed generate many, many more conversations, many more leads, and ultimately more closed sides. It also engendered a really strong, proud sense of pride within the Century 21 system. And surprisingly enough, we found that that reverberated in the industry as well, too. Because one of the statements that we made was a very strong vote of support for the American dream of homeownership.
So let's talk a little bit about what we can expect to see this year. Clearly last year was unique in that you were basically advertising as sort of the culmination of what, 40 years in the industry?
That's exactly right.
Now we're into this year is a totally different context, really. So let's talk a little bit about how you viewed this year's Super Bowl opportunity versus last year's.
Okay, that's right. It is very different. 2011 was our 40th anniversary. And so the Super Bowl was really at the tail end of 2011. It was our culminating event, highlighting and celebrating our anniversary. This year it's a very different story. We find ourselves in a far stronger housing market than we did in 2011 when we made the plans to advertise in the Super Bowl. And we also find ourselves on just a very nice trajectory upward in terms of the impact that we had last year. I would point out for you that one of the impacts of the Super Bowl was to really send a lot more traffic to our national website. And if you look in the year 2012, you'll see that across the entire real estate industry, website traffic to real estate industry websites was up 4%. For Century 21, our traffic was up over 40%.
Wow.
That was a very, very nice uptick. And we think in large measure that was contributed to by the conversations that we began at the launch of the spring selling season with the Super Bowl.
So how can you then go take it to the next step of identifying home sales with Century 21 agents and tie them back to the Super Bowl advertising?
We look at not only the conversations that we've begun and the leads that were generated from the website, but we also look at the systems response. We also pulse the broader industry to ask consumers what they think of our brand.
Sure.
Our goal in participating in the Super Bowl is to really strengthen the bond that a consumer feels with the Century 21 brand, so that if it's appropriate for them to be in the purchase or sale of a home, they think of Century 21. We want to be in the conversation. From that point on, there are many factors that influence whether you get to a closed transaction, not the advertising that we're doing.
Got it. So let's talk a little bit about the creative we can expect to see this year. I know that last year you used celebrities
We did.
in your advertising. This year, I see that you've done some original research around Super Bowl viewing and the fact that it takes place. 88% of people say it takes place in their homes. So that's a nice fit for Century 21. Let's talk a little bit about what we can expect to see as far as the creative.
Okay, well, I think you really hit on two important items there. So first, let me grapple with the creative. You're right. Last year we used celebrities, Donald Trump, Apollo Ono, and Deion Sanders. And as you might recall, and I recall very, very well, they generated tremendous publicity for us, over 1 billion impressions for us. But you know what? This year, and this is news for the first time, no one else knows this.
Very nice.
We have a new celebrity this year, and our celebrity is the Century 21 agent. We are positioning our Century 21 agent even more front and center than we did last year. So that means no celebrities in the ad this year.
Excellent.
I think you'll find, though, that we've replaced the celebrity not only with an even further enhanced focus on our Century 21 sales professional, but I hope that when you see them, you'll say that you agree that, yes, we did it with a humorous and very uplifting twist to the role of the Century 21 sales professional.
Okay, and why did you feel that was so necessary this year?
For anyone for whom home buying or selling is appropriate, we want to make sure that they consult with the services of the Century 21 sales professional. But you mentioned a point also about our survey and asking people about the activities when they watch the Super Bowl. That's worth highlighting. what's a tremendous sweet spot for us with the Super Bowl. I mean, it takes place in the home. I like to think of it as the last great American campfire. Everyone in the house, either all of your family or your friends, we're all sitting around the hearth right in the home, and the home is exactly the service that we're centered on. So, and what's really nice about the Super Bowl, think about in today's day and age with advertising, it's so hard to break through. It really is. Can you think of any other single event where people focus on the advertising and they talk about it and it's part of the conversation? So we're looking to put our Century 21 agent even more front and center in the conversation. Last year was good, we feel great about it, but we don't want any conversation about celebrities. We want all the conversation to be about the Century 21 agent.
So what did you find in the research with regard to how people watch the Super Bowl and what they most enjoy about it?
Well, one of the funnest things I personally learned is how many people love to watch the Super Bowl in their pajamas, which means they're in a comfortable setting, they like it, etc. But we found just overwhelming numbers of people that do watch the Super Bowl in their home. You know, we tend to think a lot of people go out to restaurants and bars to watch it, but no, by far the vast majority. And I don't recall any of the statistics off the top of my head, but all of the numbers point to preference to watch it with their friends, interesting choices of the food that they want to have, the attire. They all want to be in very comfortable attire, which led to the number of people revealing that they like to watch it in their pajamas.
But that's not very good news for bars and restaurants. They're going to have to offer some special promotions.
But either way, whether it's in a bar or a restaurant, we think it's great news because we love the fact that the conversations center on the commercials, and we want our agent front and center in that conversation.
How are you going to use the social media component this year?
Actually, we're using both mobile platforms and social media platforms to further extend the story. You know, we'll do some fun things with some behind-the-scenes footage of the development of the commercial. We'll highlight some of our agents in that role and activity, and we'll really use, you know, the primary platforms like Facebook, Google+, Twitter, etc., to spread those stories out.